Welcome to This Week in Money. I'm Jim Goddard. Today, he predicted trouble in Ukraine. TrendsJournal's Gerald Celente tells us where he believes the next hot spot will be. Author of Timing the Real Estate Market, Robert Campbell, has his eye set on Texas. We'll talk to Gerald Celente right after this.
More and more people are looking to the internet for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on The Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
Welcome to This Week in Money, the source for market opinions. Sitting in for Phil Mackesy, here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Gerald Celente, editor of the Trends Journal. Maybe, Gerald, just explain off the top what the Trends Journal does for people if they haven't heard about what you do and the product you put out.
Well, it's the only magazine that you will find that will help you prepare for the future and thrive and survive. It's history before it happens, and we've been at this, the magazine, writing it since 1991. It's 50 pages, full color, and it covers the globe, and in a lot of different varieties of fields, whether they be in technology, economy, health, social change, to style and fashion. So it really covers more than just the waterfront.
Well, I think one of the trends that people are looking at right now is Russia trying to snap up Europe again. Is that going to be a trend of the future?
Well, you see, that's the way people look at it, just the way you said it. And what people aren't looking at, and we really if you go back to the winter edition of the Trends Journal, we wrote the cover story was Ukraine. And this is before it blew up to the proportions that it is what happened in February. And we said there'd be a civil war there. And you read this edition, and it's outlined. Tracking trends, by the way, is an understanding of how we got here, where we are, and where we're going. And most people don't know how we got here. The Ukraine crisis was totally fomented by the United States and the European Union. And I'm not saying that in terms of speculation. It's there for anybody to look at and listen to if they have the desire to. And for starters, if they go onto YouTube and put in Victoria Nuland, N-U-L-A-N-D, that's America's Assistant Secretary of State, December 13th, 2013. And there you'll see here at the National Press Club, sponsored by, right over his shoulder, Chevron, and the United States Assistant Secretary of State saying that the future of Ukraine is with Europe and that they should follow the path set forth by the European Union. This is America's Secretary of State telling, and I always thought half of Ukraine, or a good chunk of it, was Russian. But little did I know, she knows everything. And then you listen to the audio tapes, there for everyone to listen to, of her and the United States Ambassador to Ukraine, Jeffrey Pyatt, P-Y-A-T-T. And you could hear the audio tape of them on the telephone prior to the overthrow of the Yanukovych government, saying that they wanted to put in, quote, Yats, and that's Yatsenyuk, who's in there now. And then you go back to that Chevron sign. I found out they did a deal. It's there for everybody to see. I think Reuters even covered it back in November for $10 billion to do hydrofracking. Oh, I forgot this. Just found out a couple of days ago. Joe Biden's little boy, Hunter Biden, is now sitting on the board of directors and chief legal counsel for the biggest energy company in Ukraine. Oh, not only him, so too is John Kerry's stepson, Christopher Hines, the Hines fortune heir, his roommate. And they both have a business together, Archer. He's over there in that company in the Ukraine too, the biggest oil company, does 10% of all the gas production and selling of gas in Ukraine. So people don't know what this is about. It's also about the neocon agenda. That's very clear, and that's to weaken Russia and to put missile systems in Poland and Czech Republic. Even Rand Paul's talking about doing that. And putting Russia in a place where they're not going to be able to withstand any kind of attack or reply to one. And again, it's all there, and we write about it in detail. And if anybody wants more information, not only in the Trends Journal, but I suggest they go to Paul Craig Roberts, just as it sounds, paulcraigroberts.org, the former Assistant Treasury Secretary of the United States. He's been following this better than anyone that I've known. Matter of fact, he's even contributed an article to the current Trends Journal. So it's the United States and Europe that are doing this, and Russia is responding the way Russia does. So if anybody thinks that Obama leading a charge on a white horse, or Cameron over there in the UK, picking up his hatchet and spear, or maybe strapping some six-shooters on Hollande that's going to take out Russia, if Hitler and Napoleon couldn't pull it off, what makes anybody think the United States and Europe can? The United States can't even win a war in Iraq or Afghanistan. They lost Vietnam. They're going to beat the Russians? The Russians will die till they ate the last sunflower seed to fight. I don't know how people get this in their mind. You don't poke the Russian bear. And I'm an American. I believe in the foundation upon which this nation was established. No foreign entanglements. I mean, it was good enough for Washington to say that at his farewell address, and for Jefferson and Madison and Franklin and all the rest of the founding fathers, who made this stuff up that we have to get involved in somebody else's war? So if the Ukrainians want to kill themselves, that's their business.
But if you're taking Canadians and Americans with them, not so much fun.
Again, who's going to go? I love what they use this term, by the way, when soldiers come back in caskets, they call it the ultimate sacrifice. What are you sacrificing for? Hunter Biden? Oh, I guess Hunter Biden and John Hines, Chris Hines, the heir to the Hines fortune. I guess, and the kid that's involved in it, I guess they're the brightest people in the world. They are the only two candidates that have the best merit and credentials to work with one of the largest oil companies, gas companies in Ukraine. I mean, come on. It's an inside job.
I guess it's sort of like George W. running the Texas Rangers. What did he know about baseball? What did he know about the oil companies? I think Daddy set it up for him pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. How about Halliburton? Look at the hundreds of billions they've made in the wars. And Dick Cheney happened to be, the CEO before he became vice president? I mean, what are people going to get over being over 6 years old? How can anybody buy this crap anymore? How many more wars? How many more dead? How much more destruction do people have to have in front of them? It keeps saying, is the stock market rigged? Is the gold market rigged? Is the LIBOR rate rigged? Is the Forex rigged? When are people going to wake up and have some courage to see what's going on and face the facts?
It seems to me since the Second World War, the U.S. is not happy unless it's involved in some kind of an armed conflict somewhere.
Well, yeah, there's psychopaths and sociopaths, not only the United States. And look what's going on. These little boys. They're all little boys. These guys that never fought a day in their lives, like Obama and Cameron and Hollande and Sarkozy before him. They start wars in foreign countries, and they send out Harper. Oh, yeah, I can see Harper fighting his way out of a paper bag. And they all talk tough, and they get somebody else's kids killed. So, no, what they do, this has never ended. These are psychopaths and sociopaths, and no one wants to call them what they are. And the United States, Eisenhower won the country. This is a 5-star general, supreme commander of the Allied forces, and 2-term president, tells the country as he's leaving office, the military-industrial complex is taking over the show, robbing us of the future of our children, the genius of the scientists, and the sweat of the laborers. Voila, here we are.
Is there any way for somebody who's trying to invest in a world where these people are making deals in secret, how can the average person put their money somewhere and know that it's going to grow and be safe?
You never know. Nobody ever knows. Look, I'm a trend forecaster. Always make it clear I'm not a futurist. No one can predict the future. There are too many wild cards, whether they're man-made or made by Mother Nature. And I'm only speaking for myself. I don't give financial advice. I invested in some, historic buildings in Colonial Kingston, New York, where we're headquartered. And I bought them in 2012 at ridiculously low prices and low interest rates. One of them I locked in a 15-year rate, 15 years at 2.875. And I also, I'm a big holder of gold. I've been buying gold since 1978. Look, if you lived if you lived in Ukraine right now, what would you rather have? The local currency, or be sitting on having a pot full of gold or silver?
It's not a hard decision.
Not a hard decision. And that's what this is for. Look, here's the big lie, among others, and that is there's this whole deflationary cycle taking place. What world are these people living in? Deflationary? How about oil prices? How about gas prices? How about electric prices? Been shopping lately? Oh, your rent gone down? Houses got cheaper? What world are they living in? So they're saying this so that they can keep these interest rates at artificially all-time lows and keep juicing the equity markets to make it seem like everything's okay. So when I say, so those are the facts as we see them. And and then we tell people, think for yourself. Yeah, this is what we do. We're not telling you to do anything. You make up your own decisions. But, if you want to go invest in the market, if that's your trip, knock yourself out. It's not what we do. We're very conservative in our investments, and gold for me is my golden years. I don't trade it. I buy it.
And with China snapping up all the physical gold in the world last year and doing the same now, India's election will probably see them open the gold markets again to the public. Gold is going to be more popular than ever.
I believe so. Here's our forecast, just so you know. We're saying that gold does have a downside risk. There's no question about it, because you have, the banks keep coming out with their forecasts of how low it's going to go. And again, the markets are rigged. Everything is rigged. The facts are there. I mean, I'm not making it up. The facts, the Forex, the LIBOR, the stock markets, there's enough information's come out. And I believe gold is being rigged too. So it can go down another $100, $150. That's not a big downside risk, as I see it. Again, if you're trading it, it is, but long haul, it's not.
And I understand usually when we see a big price drop, it's one of the major investors who have dumped their gold temporarily, hoping to drive the price down so they can buy it back at a cheaper price and then sell it higher.
Well, again, and what are they dumping? They're dumping paper. They're shorting the markets. They're in these naked shorts. So it's not real gold. But when you look at real gold, it's a different trip. You can't dump it like that. So that's why I say the markets are being manipulated. So what we're saying is when gold breaks over 1475, that's when we believe there's going to be the next gold bull run. When you look at what's going on in when we're talking about Ukraine, and we're talking about Europe, and we're talking about the economy of the United States, the economy of Europe stinks. They don't even call it a depression, what's going on in Spain and Greece, at 25, 27, 30% unemployment. They still, the flunkies, the prostitutes still call it a recession. Okay. We know that public debt and private debt is at all-time highs in these countries. They're destabilized already economically. Okay, now you're going to make it worse with heating up the Ukraine crisis? Wonderful. Yeah, that'll make a bad situation a lot better. So what I'm saying to you, Jim, and to everyone listening, is that this is a very volatile situation and one that's in a state of flux. It can go anywhere. And what I know, as I see it, is that you have the incompetents and the inepts in charge, people that are over their head. The United States and Europe overplayed their hand in Ukraine, because by overplaying it, they wanted Crimea. They wanted to freeze Russia out of their only warm water port. And people don't realize this. Russia's been in Crimea for you know how many years?
How long has Russia been around?
You got it.